comfrey, marigold, borage, chickweed. No, this one's chickweed, and that's mallow. The she-cat reached out with one plump brown paw and patted the scrap of leaves. Try again. I don't want to. Goosepaw flapped back on the sun-warmed stone and looked up at the cloudless sky. The only sound was a river running in sunning rocks, punctuated by the occasional plop of a vole entering the water. It's too hot to remember anything. Tell me a story about Leopard Clan. Pear-nose, please. You're not a kit anymore, Goosepaw, and you don't deserve to be a medicine cat. Apprentice if you don't start learning your herbs. Now, can you tell me what this is and what you'd use it for? Goosepaw stared at the limp green leaf hanging from Pear-nose's paw. It looked like comfrey, except that comfrey was furrier. Could it be chervil? No, that was thinner and darker. Tansy? For treating coughs? He guessed. Pear-nose shook her head. No, it's yarrow for vomiting. But you're right that tansy is good for coughs. See, my brain is melted. I can't remember anything, Goosepaw insisted. Who are you talking to? Soft paw steps on the stone behind him made Goosepaw spin around. Moonpaw was watching him. Her eyes narrowed. No one, Goosepaw stammered, standing up so quickly that he mixed up his pile of leaves. Moonpaw came over and studied the herbs. Wow, they all look the same. Tell me about it, Goosepaw sighed. Are you sure there's no one here? Moonpaw pressed, looking around. Well, can you see anyone? Goosepaw challenged. No, but your gift must be a secret. Cloudberry's words echoed in his mind. Goosepaw sighed. Sometimes I talk to myself, that's all. It's easier to remember all the herbs if I say them out loud. That's kind of freaky. Moonpaw's blue eyes burned into him. Cloudberry doesn't talk to herself. I'm not Cloudberry, Goosepaw retorted. Moonpaw, where are you? Goosepaw spotted a gray shape moving through the reeds on the far side of Sunning Rocks. An image of a long pointed face, striped black and white and taunt with fury, filled his mind. He pushed it away with an effort. Stormtail's looking for you, he told his sister. You'd better go. Moonpaw was already bounding across the rocks. Coming, she yelled. Any cat would think he was your mentor, Goosepaw called. Don't make it too obvious how you feel about him, Moonpaw. It'll just make his head even bigger. The silver she-cat paused and looked back at him. At least Stormtail is normal, she retorted. Why do you have to be so different? She whisked around and disappeared among the ferns. Goosepaw grumpily swept the herbs into a pile. Hey, don't mix them up, Pear-nose protested. Maybe green leaf, but every leaf is worth saving. I'll pick some more, Goosepaw snapped. Not if you can't remember what they look like, Pear-nose teased. Her tone softened. Look, I know what it's like to be apprenticed to a medicine cat when your den mates are preparing to be warriors. Feels as if they'll never understand what you do. But nothing, no herb name, no healing trick is more important than being loyal to your clan, and that includes all your clanmates, especially when you are a medicine cat. It would be easier to be loyal if they didn't treat me like a rogue, Goosepaw complained. Perhaps I should just accept that I'll never have any friends because I walk a different path than they do. Pear-nose snorted. Sometimes, Goosepaw, I think your path can be more easier than it needs to be. When you're as old as me, you realize that all cats, kit, apprentices, leaders, elders are all the same underneath their fur. Your clanmates need to be able to trust you, to see you as one of them, if you're going to treat them when they are sick or injured. Now take these herbs back to the camp and check Nettlebreeze for ticks again. I don't think you used enough mouse bile on him yesterday. Goosepaw stood up. At least Moonpaw's one mentor to boss around. Sometimes he felt as if Cloudberry and Pear-nose would wear his ears off by their constant nagging. He plunged into the ferns, reveling in the feeling of the fronds brushing against his pelt. He imagined this is what it would like to be plunged into a cold river cut. cut off from the sky and trees and all the forest scents, Goosepaw stopped. He could smell something beneath the ferns, newly cut, overlaid with a sharp, sour tang that made his nose wrinkle. He had smelled it before, but where? Two-Leg Place! It was the scent of the wooden boundary at the very edge of ThunderClan territory. But he was nowhere near. Why could he smell it here? Goosepaw's ears filled with a buzzing noise. He dropped the herbs as the ground rocked beneath his feet, making him lurch sideways. Now he could tell other cats, musty, unwelcome scents, as well as the stifling odors of two legs and two bright flowers. Kitty pets? What were they doing so far into ThunderClan territory? Goosepaw blinked. The ferns had vanished, or at least faded until they seemed very far away. Instead, he was edging at the end of dense pine trees, standing in lush green grass beside the Two-Leg Place border. Abruptly, the buzzing in his ears was pierced by the shrieks and yowls of fighting cats, a writhing knot of fur that lurched towards him, then jerked away. Goosepaw stared in horror as more kitty pets steamed over the wooden border and plunged into the fight. He strained to make out individual pelts. From the scent, he knew that it was a ThunderClan patrol being attacked. But were these his clanmates? Or cats from long ago? Goosepaw peered closer, trying to recognize each cat, but they were moving too fast and too tangled up with their attackers. He winced as a thick-set ginger and white kitty pet sank its teeth into a brown tabby's neck. "Those kitty pets are stronger than you think," purred a voice in Goosepaw's ear. He whirled around to see a tortoiseshell and white she-cat standing beside him. Her amber eyes gleamed with the light as she watched the battling cats. "Who are you?" Goosepaw whispered. The she-cat twitched her ears without taking her gaze from the fight. "Have I been forgotten so soon?" she murmured. Goosepaw jumped as a cat thudded to the ground near his paws, flung by a kitty pet with long black fur. He tried to make out the wounded cat's face, but the buzzing had returned in his ears, and suddenly he was surrounded by ferns again. Goosepaw blinked. He was back on the path from Sunning Rocks. The battling cats, the strange she-cat watching them, the pine trees, and the Two-Leg Place border had disappeared. But Goosepaw couldn't forget the shrieks of terror, and the bitter taste of fear clung to his tongue. He had never been submerged so completely into vision before. Everything had been louder, brighter, more vivid than his previous visions. Pelt bristling, he raced through the bushes and plunged into the ravine. He burst into the clearing, startled by the apprentices who were standing at the fresh kill pile. "Are you being chased by a fox?" Aaron called. "Goosepaw always smells of leaves. He's more likely to be chased by a rabbit," Poppypaw teased. Moonpaw and Rabbitpaw huffed with laughter, and Stormtail looked from the other side of the fresh kill pile. "You want to watch out, Goosepaw," he purred. "Even rabbits can be dangerous when you don't know how to look after yourself." Rabbitpaw reared up into his hind legs and boxed ear. "This rabbit's always dangerous," he meowed, bringing his front paws down on Heronpaw. The dark brown Tom shrugged him off. "Stop messing around!" Goosepaw noticed his sister watching him with a frown, as if she was worried about how he would react. He forced his fur to lie flat and lowered his tail. "No foxes or rabbits after me today," he meowed. "Something spooked me, that's all." The shrieks of battling cats rang in his ears for a moment, and he shook his head to clear it. "Have you any fresh kill for me?" he asked. "Goosepaw, is that you?" Goosepaw Cloudberry pushed her way out of the fern, sniffing. "Did you bring back the herbs that I gave you?" Goosepaw's belly lurched. He had dropped all the leaves when he had the visions of the kitty pet attack. Not quite," he began. He was interrupted by Pineheart appearing in Dostar's den. "Is Squirrelfly Whiskers Patrol back yet?" he meowed, looking around the clearing. Larksong looked up from the pigeon she was sharing with Mumblefoot. "No, they're still out." Pineheart narrowed his eyes. "But they went out before your patrol. What's taking them so long?" Goosepaw froze. He pictured the warrior who had fallen at his feet in the thick of the battle. The image wasn't as clear as it had been before, but he remembered brown tabby fur, terrified amber eyes, long pale whiskers. Was it Squirrel Whiskers Patrol being attacked by kitty pets? Goosepaw was about to say something when he caught Moonpaw's eyes. She wants me to be normal, right? He couldn't be certain if it was his clanmates in the fight. Goosepaw shut his mouth and turned back to the fresh kill pile. His first mouthful of bowl felt like it was choking him. The yells of frightened cats kept echoing in his ears, and all he could smell was fear and blood and the sickly scent of Two-Leg Place. Are you okay? Goosepaw asked him quietly. Goosepaw shook his head. Abandoning the vole, he padded to the leader's den beneath the high rock. Cloudberry was inside, talking to Pine Star and Doe Star. Goosepaw stopped at the entrance and coughed. Goosepaw, Doe Star called. Come in. It was dark inside the den, and Goosepaw could hardly make out the shapes of the three cats. He stood in the doorway, blinking. Cloudberry, I need to speak to you, he meowed. One of the shapes moved towards him. What is it? She sounded cross, and Goosepaw's heart sank. Was his mentor in the mood for hearing about this? I saw something on the way back from Sunning Rocks, he whispered, hoping Doe Star and Pineheart weren't listening. I was by Two-Leg Place, watching a battle between ThunderClan cats and kitty pets. I think Squirrel Whisker was one of the cats. Cloudberry leaned closer to him, her breath hot in his muzzle. Do you think it was a vision of the future? Goosepaw swallowed. I don't know, he convinced. My other visions have felt more distant. This one felt as if I was right in the middle of it. The old she-cat narrowed her eyes. You mean it could be happening right now? Goosepaw shrugged. Like I said, I don't know, but I thought I should tell you. Cloudberry straightened up. You did the right thing. She turned to the other cats inside the den. We should send a patrol to find Squirrel Whisker and the others. They could be in danger. Doe Star stood up, her pale fur glowing in the shadows. What do you mean? Has StarClan sent you a sign? Cloudberry glanced at Goosepaw. Not to me, she meowed, but I think we should treat it seriously. Goosepaw ducked his head as he felt Doe Star's eyes rest on him. There was a pause, then the leader meowed. Pineheart, take a patrol of warriors and follow Squirrel Whisker's tracks. Cloudberry, do we know where we might find them? The medicine cat touched Goosepaw's flank with her tail. Without looking up, he muttered, My Two-Leg Place. Right, meowed Doe Star. Go quickly, Pineheart. The deputy hesitated, shifting from paw to paw. Really? Because an apprentice said so? Goosepaw stared at a crack in the ground, wishing he could disappear into it. Beside him, Cloudberry lifted her head. And because I say so. Goosepaw and I are your medicine cats, remember? Goosepaw risked a glance at Pineheart. The fox-colored Tom was glaring at Cloudberry. Suddenly the scent of kitty pets grew stronger, filling Goosepaw's nose and mouth until he thought he was going to choke. He rolled around, frightened that the kitty pets had stormed into the camp and were about to invade Doe Star's den. But everything was quiet, and none of the cats beside him has moved. Just go, Pineheart, Doe Star ordered. Say nothing to the others about the possibility of trouble, but there's something to be lost by making sure Squirrel Flight's Whisker's patrol is safe. The deputy dipped his head and slipped past Goosepaw out of the den. Doe Star looked at Goosepaw for a few minutes and turned to Cloudberry. I hope I was right to trust you, she murmured. I'm not making this up, Goosepaw thought fiercely. Cloudberry brushed her tail against him. Come on, she meowed. We need to sort out our stocks if there are going to be wounds to treat. Nodding to Doe Star, she led him out of the den. The apprentices were watching the gorse tunnel, which still quivered from the rapid exit of Pineheart's patrol. What's happening? Asked Rabbitpaw. Pineheart has gone to check that Squirrel Whisker's patrol is okay. Cloudberry replied lightly. Nothing to worry about. She patted into the ferns, then looked at Goosepaw, who had stopped. What's wrong? Goosepaw stared at the gorse, picturing Pineheart and the warriors racing through the forest to the borders with Two-Leg Place. Would they be in time to help Squirrel Whisker? I wish I could have gone with them, he meowed. You're not trained to fight, Cloudberry reminded him. That's not what a medicine cat does. Now are you going to help me with these herbs, seeing as you left a good portion of them somewhere in the forest today? Goosepaw was trying to brush a wad of cobweb off his paws when he heard the thunder of cats entering the camp. He rushed out of the den with sticky white web trailing behind him. "Wait for me!" Cloudberry called behind him, but Goosepaw ignored and plunged into the ferns. The clearing was thronging with cats, swirling like fish in a tiny pool. Goosepaw stood on tiptoe and spotted Pineheart, Stormtail, Larksong, and all the cats who had gone to look for the missing patrol. The crowd shifted, and suddenly Goosepaw saw a dark brown shape huddled on the ground, oozing scarlet trails. "Squirrel Whisker!" He started forward, but Cloudberry was already running past him. "Let me through!" she yowled, and the cat stepped aside to let her crouch beside the injured warrior. Goosepaw saw the rest of Squirrel Whisker's patrol now: Stagleap, Rockfall, Flashnose, all battered and bleeding and looking shocked but on their feet. "They were attacked by kitty pets," Beinhardt reported to Dostar. "They were outnumbered, and the kitty pets took them by surprise. We sent them packing with a few scratched ears, I promise." "Thanks, StarClan, you found them," gasped Fallow. She had been on a hunting patrol which had just returned. "They were lucky that Pineheart went looking for them," Rainfur agreed. "It was nothing to do with luck," Dostar meowed. Goosepaw felt his fur grow hot. Cloudberry glanced over her shoulder at him and gave a faint shake of her head, as if warning that a secret would be safe with her. But Dostar was already bounding at the top of the high rock and calling the clan together. "Little cats old enough to catch your own prey, gather below," she yowled. "We need to thank StarClan for the victory over the battle with kitty pets today. And not only StarClan," she looked at Goosepaw, who felt the cats around him take a step away, leaving him in a bare patch of sand. "Squirrel Whisker and her patrol, all their rescue to one of our clanmates. An apprentice, no less." It was Goosepaw's vision that led Pineheart straight to the attack. "Cats of ThunderClan, we have a powerful medicine cat among us. And Cloudberry, if you agree, I would like Goosepaw to receive his full name as a sign of our gratitude and pride." Goosepaw blinked. Beside him he heard apprentices muttering in disgust. "He's only been an apprentice for 3 moons. "I've only been an apprentice for a moon," wailed Moonpaw. "That's not fair." "What makes you so special?" growled a voice in Goosepaw's ear. It was Stormtail. Goosepaw spun around and glared at the warrior. "You have no idea what I can do," the image of a badger looming over him. "If all my visions come true, then so will this one. Stormtail is going to kill me with a badger." Goosepaw sank his claws into the earth and kept himself steady. "I know what you're going to do," he hissed, "and I'll be ready. Just you wait and see." Stormtail looked baffled. "You're weird." Cloudberry stepped out of the crowd and dipped her head. "You are very generous, Dostar. I would gladly give Goosepaw's full name at the next half moon, but I'm sure that he knows he still has much to learn, and his training will continue until I am called to StarClan." She fixed her clear blue-yellow gaze on Goosepaw, and he nodded. Goosepaw ignored the glares of fury coming from Rabbit Paw and Stormtail. They were only jealous. He glimpsed Squirrel Whisker through the crowd, raising her head just enough to nod gratefully to him. Goosepaw felt a stirring of pride in his belly. "No other cat sees as much as I do. I will keep my clan safe forever."